If you haven't paid attention to when plants bloom before you begin keeping bees, you surely will start paying attention now. Dandelions kick-start the season. Black locust, well, now we're accelerating into serious beekeeping activity. As of this inspection, all IEBA hives are now composed of 2 brood boxes. All of the feeders have been removed.
We're going to just give them a little smoke here, and we're going to set this up. We're going to give them just a little smoke inside. We're going to leave the inner cover on and just set it back here. We're going to go through the bottom box first.
So the key thing to look for is, if you look, just look down. Every single frame is loaded with bees. We got a little bird comb here, which is okay on the sides. You just cut it away, but when I look down here, this is wall-to-wall bees down here, and it is here too. This is the brand new frame we put in, so we'll be interested to see how far drawn out that is from when we put it in last week. Remember, we took the feeder out.
Now you've got a lot more bees to contend with, so you're going to be a little more careful of where you put your tool. Trying not to squash too many of them. Some of them are going to there will be some collateral damage. Now this is all honey here with a little older brood in the center.
Look at all that nice honey they put up. Remember, these were pretty light on honey last week. Now, on this one, we put this frame back in. We're going to reverse it like this. So this side is toward the inside, and they'll draw it out a little faster.
Now this is the frame we put in last week when we removed the feeder. We'll see what they've done here. And it's almost completely drawn out.
Let's see if we got eggs this side. It's drawn out, and I do not see eggs there. What's on your side? So we picked up another frame of drawn comb, which is beautiful.
Okay, they've made a little queen cup right here, which is no big deal. They're starting to. Always check, make sure there's nothing in it. Now we're going to go ahead and mark this because it's fully drawn out.
Now you notice by marking and stuff, we have a little advanced knowledge of what we're going to look at and expect when we pull a frame out. All eggs and larvae. Wow. There she is.
She's right there. This is all eggs and larvae.
Okay, 1 frame of brood.
Be patient when you're trying to get your frames out. Let the bees move out of the way. We'll probably need to puff a little bit more to get these down. Give Jim a little bit more room. You got eggs on that one?
No.
Okay.
A lot of drone cells on the bottom.
Yep.
There.
Look at here. We have some drone cells on the bottom. Okay. Not uncommon for them to do that on a frame, so it's nothing to panic about. There's eggs and larvae in here.
Eggs and larvae all through there.
1.5 frames of brood.
Yeah.
Always remember where the queen is, because you got to be gentle moving these frames so you don't bang her.
These hives are just beautiful. Look at that brood. Whoa! So just remember, the key thing is here, be cognitive of how much capped brood you have. So we looked at an earlier one, and practically all the frames of brood were capped except for one frame of eggs and larvae. In here, all this capped brood is going to hatch probably by the end of this next week. So when we come in next Friday, we expect to see a lot more bees up in the number 2 box.
Okay, so 2.5 frames of brood. Ooh,
3.
3.
Whoa, look at that. She's just laying a beautiful job. Queen's doing excellent. Look at that.
Look at that.
And see here, you can see, this will happen in your hive. They dump the honey, their nectar, right there. And then they will process it during the night and move it up into the corners out of there. But they come in, they're in a hurry to get rid of it. If the queen isn't over there laying, they will just dump that honey right there. My guess is they haven't drawn very many frames in the second box. Mostly all brood too. This is all just hatching right now. And that's all hatching right here too.
Yeah.
So
So
4.5.
total about a half a frame
Okay.
of total brood.
It's 4 frames of brood.
See how patient Jim is to get the end so he doesn't hurt bees? We don't need to stir up a war here. And you take your hive tool like that, now you can take that off real easy. And you don't hurt bees when you do it.
So what's on this frame? Just honey?
Brood.
No brood.
Okay,
Yeah.
5 frames of brood.
Yeah.
So we probably have 4 frames of brood ready to hatch by the end of the week.
One thing you might want to keep in mind, not to squash your bees, is when you set your frame in, set it right next to, before you just push it down, set it up next to the next frame and then just slide it down. That way you're not going to squash as many bees.
And see how he's already pulled everything up tight here? We just slide it over and put the last frame in. This queen's doing really good. Remember, don't panic over the queen cells or cups. Just always check them and destroy them. Then you know what's going on the next time you come in to inspect. We got a second box here. We could do 2 things. You could sit it on top of this hive and work it, but if you have a lot of bees in here, you don't want to do that. You want to work it over here. Look at all the bees that have come up here. So every time you move one of these frames with burr comb, you could hurt the bees that are here. So we'll take a quick look at it right here. We don't expect to see a whole lot to look at. And they're probably just starting to draw comb. And we got some burr comb here. Now look, you got a pretty good slug of bees on the see here,
Foundation.
this burr comb. If you'd have been sliding that across here, you could hurt something. And if it's your queen, you're gonna cry. So you don't have much going on in the second box at all, just starting. Next week we would expect to see a lot more.
When all this brood hatches, this is going to be full. So now you're going to set your top box onto your bottom box. We don't have an issue right now, but if you had bees everywhere on the outer edge, you just go along the outer edge like this, smoke them down, and then go ahead. Remember, you can always set your box on at an angle and then twist it over.
There's always one or two that don't cooperate.
Yeah.
And normally I would just shake all the bees off like that, right over top of that, and we're good. And we're good here because this is indented, this inner cover. So remember now, the last thing you're gonna do is either mark on your lid or on your inspection sheet what you saw today. And we marked this one last week that we cut a cell that had one of those queen cups had something in it. So we marked, we cut a cell. We went back in this time and didn't see anything. That's a lot of reasons why you go back through. And if you'll look, we had 5.5 frames of bees and 5.5 frames of brood and 7 frames of bees. We're now completely full with bees and probably have the equivalent of a frame upstairs. So those open areas we saw that was hatching out is where our new bees are coming from. So I expect to see next week, we'll see this at probably 10 frames of bees, easy, or
yeah.
more.
Oh yeah, more.
It's a lot of capped brood in here. So remember to keep up with your sheets. Remember when you call us or send us an email, we want to know what you saw. So if you have 5.5 frames of brood and 7 frames of bees, that's what we want to know. And then you explain your situation to us. The key thing is you got to be prepared to go through a hive. You never know how gentle or how ornery they might be. Today, you'll notice we both have our jackets on. If the bees happen to start getting ornery, we can easily flip our hood up to protect ourselves.
When Jerry and I come out here, we can tell just by lifting a lid the attitude of the bees. These bees have been just phenomenal in terms of being gentle. There are situations if you do have a queen, if you've got a hive that you just start to walk towards it and they come out and attack you, you have to consciously think about replacing that queen because that can be an issue. When you go out to a hive, you always want to be prepared, have your gloves on, your veil on, because you don't want to be worried about getting stung when you're trying to concentrate on something else.
Why bother to have a smoker?
The smoker, you can't work bees without a smoker because they boil up out of the hive if you've got a lot in there. You need to get them out of the way so you don't squash them all. Your job isn't to see how many you can kill when you're inspecting. Your job is to see how few you harm. And a smoker keeps the bees calm, keeps their heads down so they're not coming up at us. And if you just watch, we just puff when we need to. And when the bees start to come up on this box down here and set on the top bars, they stay down. So we didn't need to smoke them. You got to watch what's happening. If the bees are flying up, then put smoke on them, force them back down so they don't come up at you.
During an 8-minute inspection of the bottom box, Jim smoked the bees 3 times for a total time of 22 seconds.
The other thing is, don't approach your bees from the front of the hive. Remember, the field bees are coming in, they're banging into you, they're not happy. And so you just created a bunch of unhappy bees. Work your hive from the side and the back. You'll find that your bees that are flying here are literally leaving us alone, okay? And Chris was standing right over here to the side filming us working this hive, and it was really good. The bees just weren't bothering him at all, and he's not wearing anything.